No means no. It's a message that women have been trying to send out for decades. Yet, we are failed. 10 years after the Nirbhaya case, it seems the more things change, the more they remain the same. On 23rd of August at 4:30 in the morning, Ankita Singh was woken up with a burning sensation. She suddenly realized that she was on fire. The 19-year-old ran through her house ablaze, screaming. After a 5-day battle in which this young woman told a magistrate through searing pain of 95% burns what had happened, she passed away. Ankita lost her life because some man felt he had a right to her. He stalked her, threatened to kill her if she didn't answer his phone calls, and once spurned, decided she had no right to live. 23-year-old Shahrukh poured petrol on a sleeping Ankita and set her ablaze. This horrific incident in Jharkhand's Dumka town has seen a familiar narrative since then. Opposition parties in Jharkhand are calling out the state government led by the JMM and Congress. In keeping with current politics, the religions of the accused and victim are being talked about. But what about Ankita? What about those who failed her when she first said, "I'm being stalked and threatened"? What about a society where in 2022, this can happen to a woman? What is the value of our slogans, campaigns and dreams to make this a nation where women can live without constantly looking over their shoulder? I want to put out some data today because data doesn't lie. NCRB data for the year 2021 shows a shocking picture of how safe Indian women really are. So if I look at the overall data on crime against women, in 2021, there were 4,28,278 cases. The conviction rate was 26.5%, and compared to 2020, it's an increase of more than 15%. If I look at rape with murder or gang rape in 2021, 284 cases. And remember, NCRB gives you the data where it's been reported. So you have to keep that in mind. Conviction rate over 76%, but the rise in cases 30%, 29.68 to be precise. On rape, 31,677 cases reported in 2021, and here an increase of nearly 13%. Acid attacks, 102 cases clocked in 2021, an increase over here as well of 5%. Outraging of modesty, more than 89,000, nearly 90,000 cases. Conviction rate is meager here at 31%. And the increase in cases is also being seen. Same with domestic violence. So we are a country which is consistently failing our women. Let's look at stalking, for example. 9,285 cases in 2021, about 9% increase. The question that we have to ask today, should the Jharkhand government take responsibility for what has happened to Ankita? After all, the state police is under them. Why have crimes against women nationally increased 15% in 1 year? And for how long can we keep blaming mindsets for crimes against women? The question always is, oh, let's change the way people think. Let's change it culturally. How long can we keep hiding under that cover? And who will ensure that India's Betis are truly safe? Before we move ahead, I want to play out for you what Ankita said while she was fighting for her life, but still wanted to name her offenders. Listen in.
मैं पापा को बोले, पापा ने ठीक है सुबह होगा तो देखते हैं। और उसने 4 बजे आके खिड़की से पेट्रोल फेंक के और आग जला के भाग गया।
तो पेट्रोल कहाँ पर फेंका गया था?
पेट्रोल एक डिब्बा में 2 लड़का था, वो और एक छोटुआ था। हम खिड़की खोल के देखे थे।
नाम क्या उनका?
शाहरुख।
और उसके साथ एक लड़का जो है?
हाँ, छोटू।
और आपके शरीर में कहाँ प्रॉब्लम आया?
सब जगह आया, टोटल जगह। अभी मुंह थोड़ा सा छोड़ा है।
बाकी पूरा शरीर में प्रॉब्लम।
Karuna Nandi joins us on the show, advocate of the Supreme Court. Nirmal Kaur, a former DGP Jharkhand, with us on the show. I'm speaking with Dr. Tanuj Khatri, spokesperson of the JMM, and Nikhil Anand, spokesperson of the BJP. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us today on Beyond the Headline. Mr. Khatri, let me first understand that is this a complete lapse and failure on the part of the state government and the Jharkhand police? Because Ankita knew she was being stalked. उनको पता था कि उनको threat है और कुछ नहीं किया गया. ये आप किसकी गलती मानेंगे?
देखिए, निश्चित रूप से कहीं ना कहीं किसी न किसी पक्ष की लापरवाही हुई और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि ये ऐसी घटना है जिसने आज फिर से पुनः एक बार जो है हम सबको अंदर से कुरेद के रख दिया है और हम इसकी जितनी भी भर्त्सना करें इस हैवानियत की वो कम होगा और कम से कम इसको जो है राजनीतिक से परे इतर जाकर के देखने की जरूरत है। जैसा कि माननीय मुख्यमंत्री हेमंत सोरेन जी ने भी कहा और देश की महिला आयोग की अध्यक्षा जी ने भी कहा कि आखिर इस तरह की घटना समाज के अंदर में हर बार कभी किसी राज्य में कभी किसी शहर चाहे किसी का भी शासन रहा हो वहां क्यों होती है और अब कहीं ना कहीं कठोर से कठोर कानून और कठोर से कठोर सजा ऐसे लोगों को मिले ताकि 100 बार सोचें।
आई एम सॉरी खत्री जी, ये जो आप पूरा स्पीच बोल रहे हैं मैं समझ सकती हूँ कि आपको आज आपके पार्टी का आपकी सरकार का बचाव करना है, आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड, और आप बिल्कुल पॉलिटिकली करेक्ट सब कह रहे हैं, लेकिन मेरा आपसे सवाल था ये किसकी गलती है और हम क्यों ना कहे कि झारखंड पुलिस की गलती है और चूंकि आपकी पार्टी राज्य में सरकार चलाती है तो आपकी इसकी जिम्मेदारी लेनी होगी, ये सवाल था मेरा।
मैंने बहुत शालीनता से कहा तो आपने कह दिया कि मैं पार्टी का बचाव कर रहा हूं, इसमें पार्टी कहां से आ गई? अब हम भी यही आरोप लगा सकते हैं कि आपको भी एक है कि झारखंड की सरकार को कटघरे में खड़ा करना है, ऐसे तो नहीं चलेगा ना सत्ता एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन।
जो सत्ता में है वो ही कटघरे में खड़ा होता है। नहीं, जो सत्ता में वो ही कटघरे में खड़ा रहता है। यस,
सिंपल है ना। अगर तो जाके भारतीय जनता पार्टी के बिहार के शहनवाज हुसैन जी से पूछिए।
क्या पूछूं मैं?
तो जाकर के पूछिए।
One minute, Nikhil Anand, I'm coming to you. 1 minute, Nikhil Anand, I'm coming to you. Allow me to do my job. I'm coming to you. 1 minute, Nikhil Anand ji, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you.
You are asking question to him. He is quoting BJP. What kind of
I have a question for BJP. Nikhil Anand, do not worry. I have a question for BJP. My question for BJP is, why are you trying to give a religious twist to this entire case? Why today are you trying to give this a twist? It is absolutely correct to hold the government in charge, responsible, because they have the state police under them. There's no doubt about that. But is that the only purpose? 1 minute. अभी मैं निखिल आनंद से सवाल पूछ रही हूँ. अभी खत्री जी आप सुन लीजिए. Yes, Mr. Nikhil Anand. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Anand.
See, first of all, my heart bleeds with great pain and agony over this incident. And who was Ankita? She is a young girl who lost her mother because of cancer. Her family land was sold for the treatment of her mother. She was taking tuition to earn 1,000 rupees and studying. She wanted to be a police officer. I pay my heartfelt tribute to her. And the painful thing is that it is not a case of simple individual obsessed lover who gave this kind of bad, heinous treatment to the girl. But it is a case on the line of communal psyche, and it is a complete case of love jihad and Romeo jihad.
See, this is my point, Nikhil
There is
Anand.
a communal angle attached to it.
Why are you adding a communal angle? I just put out NCRB data today. Are you going to look at all crimes against women according to the religion of the accused and the religion of the victim? Is that how you're going to do it now? Is that how you're going to do it now?
In Bihar and Jharkhand, the way PFI modus operandi has been established.
Mr. Anand, do you think women are unsafe in this country only in Bihar and Jharkhand? I am sorry. I am not going to allow you to give a communal twist. No, I am sorry, Mr. Anand. I will shut this down. I will not allow you to give a communal twist to this story. Because I am talking about safety of women today. I am talking about safety of women today, and there are no women that feel safe from any community. All right, I'm going to reduce that volume, and I'm going to go to the rest of the guests. Nirmal Kaur, will you please listen to the women on this panel, or only you want to speak? 1 minute. Mr. Khatri, Mr. Anand, I will tell you when I come to you. आप रुक जाइए थोड़ा. अभी आपका मौका नहीं है. आप रुक जाइए थोड़ा. आप थोड़ा रुक जाइए. Mr. Anand, आप रुक जाइए. I will tell you when I come to you. Otherwise, we'll have to put your fader down.
The government.
Yeah. Nirmal Kaur, Miss Nirmal Kaur, I want to get your perspective on this. I want to get your perspective on this because I want to understand. Where is the safety net? Unfortunately, an incident where a young girl is stalked by someone who thinks they are an ashik and then told, you know, you have to meet me, you have to do this, you have to do that, is not that uncommon. Now, the girl, in this case, think about it, the girl doesn't know when this is going to take a heinous twist where her life may be in danger. Any young girl in this country grows up having to fend off unwanted male attention. How does the law protect her?
The law, I think law comes in much later when something has happened. Much before that, we should have these awareness drives. Girls have to be taught, empowered to stand up for themselves. In this case, as in her dying declaration, the visuals that are going around, you see she's such a spirited girl. She's so brave, she's a fighter. The way she's talking, the way she's saying that he should also, you know, get his just desserts and all. She's a fighter. That girl is very strong. But, you know, if she had known the mechanisms, if the girls are made aware that if somebody approaches you like this is your safety net, A, B, C, in school you can tell, in neighborhood, in the police, or some watch kind of committees, you know, or some mohalla committees, where the girls have to reach for immediate help. When the stalking turns so ugly, one doesn't know. Like in this case, he's stalking her for a few days, and then he just, you know, puts a matchstick to her after sprinkling petrol. So girls have to be made very, very aware, very empowered, and also mechanisms have to be created for women's safety, where these stalkers, you know, the girls, the moment they feel slightly threatened, should be able to go and report this thing, and maybe logs can be maintained, police can maintain logs, and, you know, the proper warning can be given to the accused, or 151 CRPC or something like that, you know, some preventive action can be taken. So the way you're saying catching up with the law is actually, the criminal justice system is set in motion once the crime has taken place. So, you know, the prevention, I think, prevention or preempting such things, that should take forefront so far as women's security is concerned.
Karuna Nandi, in this case, the victim had spoken about what she was facing. As per reports, she spoke to her father, who said he will try and sort it out, etc., etc. But as a society, don't we need a better system? Rather than hoping against hope that someone who is showing unwanted affection doesn't turn violent.
Was it affection?
The legal
Unwanted
system in this
advances,
regard
Karuna
is
Nandi,
actually
yes.
broken, because the legal system in this regard is broken. Reason is this, is that the offence that criminalizes stalking is in section 354D as of the Criminal Law Amendment Act in 2013. And at the first instance, the offence is bailable. So if somebody goes, and even if her father had gone and complained and had said that my daughter is being stalked, or if Ankita had gone and complained and said that I am being stalked, then the police and indeed the magistrate could not have restrained him from going, say, within 2 kilometers of her house, or keeping a distance from, you know, the paths she frequented, or from her, because it is a bailable offence and their hands are tied. The problem with this is that only at the second conviction, after the person has been convicted once, only in the second offense does it become non-bailable. Now, how does this make any sense? Is justice only going to come after the girl is burnt, or after acid is thrown on her face, or after something more heinous happens? There was a bill that was a failure of the UPA government. And that was a failure. For example, Sharad Yadav had stood up in parliament and he said, हाँ लड़कियों का पीछा तो हम भी करते थे college में, and everyone laughed, you know. And there were prominent women, and there were BJP MPs that made similar comments, and the prominent women in the house were appalled by this. I remember Supriya Sule and Mrs. Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi,
yes,
and Sushma Swaraj. At one point, I think Sushma Swaraj even walked out. Now, the point is that a bill has been proposed, a bill that was initiated by a media organization called The Quint, and had the support and input from me and Shashi Tharoor and a number of others. And we had placed this bill, not wanting it to be a private member's bill, but wanting it to be something that the government adopted. And the BJP government failed to do this. So we have failures then across the board. I think the most important thing is that stalking is terrifying. Stalking is not romantic. When a woman says no, or when a woman says yes, that is something that has to be built in and ground in, not just to the law, but also with the police and also with the rest of society, because what people don't realize is how threatening and genuinely terrifying it is to be stalked, and how proper protection, if brought privately, is hugely expensive, is unwieldy, and is not something that most people can access.
No, but protection is out of the question for most women. Protection is out of the question. And, you know, we are looking at this very unfortunate incident from the prism of this happened in Dumka, Jharkhand. What was the religion of Ankita? What was the religion of the person who did this to her? But is there any place in this country where a woman feels safe, where she doesn't look over her shoulder? Mr. Anand, do you want to review your opening comments after listening to the other panelists? I'm talking about safety of women. बेटियों को बचाना है, बेटियों को पढ़ाना है, लेकिन बेटियों को तो पहले जिंदा रखना है ना? क्या किया है हमारे राजनेताओं ने? What has our society done to make women feel safe? Mr. Anand.
I want to take forward the debate from Karunanidhi's statement. She said a reference about Sharad Yadav. And some days back, the Chief Minister of Bihar, in a meeting of NDA MLAs, once that meeting was called to discuss the issues of tribals, he commented on one of BJP MLAs, Nikki Hembram, that you are too beautiful. But do you know what I have done for the tribals? So it is a male psyche which is prevalent in the society, I agree. And they may be a politician or a lawyer or anything, a sportsperson. But the tragedy is that I want to say that in recent past, Jharkhand has seen so many of the killings on communal line. That is why I said that we need to accept that some days back during Saraswati Puja, Rupesh Pandey was killed. Then in Lohardaga, a mob shouting Pakistan Zindabad killed Neeraj Prajapati. Then Mukesh Soni, the BHP leader, was killed in Ranchi.
आपको सिर्फ अंकिता की मजहब, you can only see Ankita's religion. No, 1 minute, Mr. Anand, I know you've come with a line. 1 minute, Mr. Anand, I know you've probably come with a brief or a line. No, 1 minute, Mr. Anand. The moment you start this, I will put down your fader, sir. 1 minute, Mr. Anand.
The
We will have to reduce the
Jharkhand
fader, please.
And the Chief Minister
Mr. Anand, Can you please refrain? Can you please refrain from looking at this only from the prism of the victim's religion? Because what you are doing by that, you are insulting 50% of this population. Do you think that you have more in common with Ankita because you share her religion as versus a woman in another religion? Do you think women feel her pain more or do you feel her pain more?
Such kind of incident in the name
1
of
minute,
community.
Mr. Khatri, Mr. Khatri, Mr. Khatri, I want to come to Mr. Khatri. Mr. Khatri, what will your government do now? Now, the accused have been caught. The shameless man was seen smiling today as he was being taken into custody. He will be caught. He's a nobody. He will face the full brunt of the law. But do you think your responsibility ends there? वहीं पर इनको punishment देकर खत्म हो गई आपकी जवाबदारी?
MLAs are on picnic trip.
Mr. Khatri, this questions for you.
देखिए, आपने पूछा एक सवाल कि कहाँ तक हम जाएंगे। सबसे पहले त्वरित कार्रवाई करते हुए दोनों लोगों को अरेस्ट कर लिया गया है और तत्काल जो है राज्य सरकार ने माननीय मुख्यमंत्री ने फास्ट ट्रैक कोर्ट के माध्यम से सजा दिलवाने के लिए आगे बढ़ने का काम किया है, निर्देश देने का काम किया है। लेकिन तब से आप जो है लगातार इतनी बार रिक्वेस्ट कर रही हैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी के प्रवक्ता से, और खास करके इस डिबेट में तीन महिलाएं हैं आपको लेकर के, सभी अपने जगह अपने फील्ड में अपना नाम रखती हैं, उसके बाद भी कम से कम भारतीय जनता पार्टी के प्रवक्ता को एक गरिमा होनी चाहिए कि लगातार इसमें रिलीजन को ला रहे हैं, लगातार अन्य चीजों को ला रहे हैं, लगातार झारखंड और बिहार की सिर्फ बात कर रहे हैं क्योंकि वहां पे इनकी सरकार नहीं है। आपने बार बार इनको कम से कम शर्म आनी चाहिए कि कम से कम ऐसे विषयों पर राजनीति नहीं हो, ऐसे विषयों पर कड़ी से कड़ी सजा
बहुत लोगों को आनी चाहिए। नहीं, शर्म तो बहुत लोगों को आनी चाहिए और इसमें झारखंड की पुलिस भी है। नहीं, झारखंड पुलिस भी है इसमें, और इसमें सिर्फ इस केस पर काम करके नहीं चलेगा। आपको तय करना होगा कि हर एक महिला अपने आप को सेफ महसूस करे। आनंद जी, आप मुझे बोलने देंगे कि आप ही को शो एंकर करना है? रुक जाइए प्लीज। आई एम गोइंग टू गो बैक टू करुणा नंदी। करुणा नंदी, in terms of building a safety net at the ground level, and look at what such instances do. There is already a challenge for so many women to find the courage to leave their homes, go out and work, follow their passions. You know, they're treated equal as law, but do they have that opportunity? Can you have that opportunity if you don't feel safe?
I think the important thing for the politicians on this panel to remember is, पहली बात तो ये राजनीतिक मुद्दा ही है, क्योंकि आप सरकार क्यों चलाते हैं, आप सरकार किसके लिए चलाते हैं? आप सरकार सिर्फ पुरुषों के लिए चलाते हैं या अपनी महिला वोटर्स के लिए भी चलाते हैं? आप दोनों, मतलब ऐसा, आप मतलब बड़ी पार्टीज में ये सुलह हो गई है कि हम महिलाओं के मुद्दों पे कुछ करेंगे ही ना, और ये कहेंगे कि ये महिला का मुद्दा है और ये पॉलिटिकल नहीं है। नहीं, ये राजनीतिक मुद्दा है। पहली बात तो ये। दूसरी बात ये कि निखिल आनंद जी, the fact that you're trying to make this a religious issue is something that is appalling for two reasons. One is that the majority of stalkers, because of the breakup of our population, because we only have 14% people from the minority community that you are attacking, but most of our country is Hindu, right? So therefore the majority of our stalkers are Hindu, right? When we are talking about making sure that women are protected, are you making sure that Hindu women are protected against Hindu men, or are you only interested in when there is a difference in religion? Data tells us that it is the latter. So what you should be doing in the states and as a central government is passing the law that you should, undertaking police trainings, making sure that people understand that stalking is something that is dangerous and is not romantic, and making sure that FIRs are filed and registered, that there is swift, certain punishment. There may be a religious angle in this case, the angle that who knows? Perhaps at some point he said, I love you, I want to marry you, or whatever it is, and please convert to whatever religion I am from. Perhaps he said that, I don't know. The point
Just I
is
want
different.
to make a point.
What are you doing for women who are stalked? What are you doing for women who are stalked? Every 55 minutes in this country in 2018, and the data has gone up since then, the numbers have gone up. Every 55 minutes, a woman reports a case of stalking. Huge numbers of other women are being stalked. All the women I know have been stalked at some point. Almost all the women I know, personally, empowered women. What are you doing? Why are you not acting? Why are you saying that this is a religious issue when this is an issue of your government?
No, and 1 minute. I want to echo something Karuna Nandi has said. 1 minute, Anandji, I'll tell you when. I want to just echo something that Karuna Nandi has said. She said that every woman she knows has been stalked.
Yeah.
Pretty much every woman you talk to, if you honestly have a conversation with women, they will tell you that they've been made to feel uncomfortable, threatened, and in fear of their safety at least once in their lifetime, if not more. Why aren't you addressing that, Mr. Anand? You're trying to score political points even on this. Yes, Mr. Anand.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to reply, Karunaji, that we need to do a value judgment and see who is the victim and who is the accused. By this ratio, my point can be justified. But if you take it as a general case, yeah, I agree that the onus is on the males of the society. It is a male-dominated society, I agree. It is a collective responsibility of we people to make this society feel safer for the woman. But the kind of society which is giving preference and privilege in the name of pseudo-secularism or casteism or whatever to these kind of stalkers. So this is bad. Had this society been proactive, Ankita would have been saved.
Who are these people?
But the tragedy
who
is
are
that
these people, Nikhil?
the stalkers
Who is privileging this man?
No, I don't even want to encourage this. 1 minute. I don't want
society.
this. Mr. Anand, you know, on this show, at least you'll have to back up claims with data.
I see
And
nobody
I don't know if you've
privileging
gone and
this
done.
man.
I don't know if you have gone and actually done a breakup which is making you say such blatant things. 1 minute.
But if
Karuna Nandi said two things. Karuna Nandi said two things.
If accused is Hindu
Karuna Nandi said two things.
victim is a Muslim, we can see a communal angle, of course.
Why?
But
why?
You cannot generalize.
If the accused was a Hindu, would it not
I'd like
matter
to draw
what
a
happened to
distinction
Ankita?
between Bilkis Bano and this.
Exactly. Exactly.
You
can't have, you know, you can't put your agenda. You can't put your agenda on women's safety because you are being unfair. You are being unfair to 50% of this country's population. Mr. Khatri, no, Mr. Anand, this angle, please don't peddle it here because it's making no sense. I'm sorry. Mr. Anand, Mr. Khatri.
You give me the reference of particular cases.
Mr. Khatri,
There is no such data with you.
Mr. Khatri, no, I've shown you NCRB data. Does NCRB break it down religious-wise? Are you going to worry only about one religion's women who are hurt and not the other? Are you saying that, Mr. Anand? Are you listening to yourself? The responsibility lies with a state government because the police of that government reports to them. They are in charge of law and order. That's why today I have to ask Mr. Khatri, what has your government been doing? And how will you fix your record? And that is a valid question for him to answer. Yes, Mr. Khatri.
देखिए बिल्कुल निश्चित रूप से ये सभी सरकारों के लिए एक गंभीर मुद्दा है कि लगातार जो है इसमें वृद्धि क्यों हो रही है। मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से भी ये बताना चाहूंगा कि मैं जितने अपने महिला मित्रों को जानता हूं उन सबको स्टॉक किया गया है कभी ना कभी। यहाँ तक समाज इस कदर ये हो गया है कि अगर कोई महिला, अगर कोई लड़की अगर अपने सोशल मीडिया अकाउंट से चेक इन करती है कहीं तो उस चेक इन से निकाल करके उसके पास रैंडम रिक्वेस्ट आते हैं, रैंडम मैसेजेस आते हैं। मतलब ये सामाजिक बुराई है, सामाजिक बीमारी बन चुकी है ये सारी घटनाएं, और कहीं ना कहीं इन्हीं चीजों से वो ऐसी घटनाओं को जो है अंजाम तक पहुंच रही है।
सबको प्रॉब्लम पता है, सोल्यूशन किसी के पास नहीं है, and that is
मिलके करने की जरूरत है। कोई एक
no, that is the question. Till how long will we say this is a सामाजिक problem? ये हमारे समाज की स्थिति है। Till how long will we do that, and why should women today suffer because of this apparent cultural overhang? Someone has to step in and ensure that every woman feels safe, that anyone who has such thoughts is hauled in before they can really turn their thoughts into action. Because what happened with Ankita is unfair. Unfortunately, we cannot even stand here today and say it will never happen again. I will have to wrap on that. I'm completely out of time, but I want to thank all of you for joining us on The Big Story this evening. I want to move on to